All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you to another episode of We Create Music. I am your host, B. Vaughn, and today we have an amazing songwriter, creator, and half of Degrees in Chuck T's radio show and podcast, KB.
Hi guys. Hey,
hello, how are you?
Good.
Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
No problem at all. I'm excited too. Absolutely. So let's get into it.
Okay.
So if you wouldn't mind, just start in the very beginning, your background. How did you get started?
Well, long story short, remember back in the day in the cassette tapes,
Oh, yeah.
they had, sometimes they had lyrics written down in the flap, inside flap, where the cassettes were actually held. This is a long time ago, guys. We're talking cassettes here, okay? So I used to read them because I wanted to know what the lyrics were, the different songs that I liked. And when they didn't have the lyrics there, I would have to write it myself. So I would literally rewind the tape, fast forward, make sure I had all the lyrics written down, and then once it written, I would look at it, study it, and then sing along with my favorite songs. That was the quickest way for me to really understand what they were saying. Of course, sometimes I didn't always get it right. You know how we do. We make up our own stuff. So fast forward a couple of years later, a friend of mine introduced me to songwriting as a career. And I really never thought about it as a career path. It was just something that I liked to do. And then we started writing together in high school. And the funny thing is because I actually started writing the lyrics to the songs, when it was time for me to start doing songwriting as something, a career path, I was already writing in 8 bars. Not because I didn't know that the songs had to have 8 bars, but because I was studying it for so long, writing it down, I would always have the 8 bars there.
Yeah.
So that was how I started. And then, I would go to ASCAP expos and meet other creatives, producers, songwriters. I was actually in the Joel A. Katz Music and Entertainment Business Program at Kennesaw State for a while. I finished that, met a lot of nice people, networked a lot, and then that was good for me as well with songwriting and meeting a lot of people.
Yeah. Oh, man, you brought up the whole cassette tape thing. Wow. I remember they used to have all the lyrics in there, and that's how we knew the lyrics.
Right.
Because there was no other way. We didn't have Google. We couldn't Google the lyrics.
Right, Genius wasn't around, so they didn't have to transcribe it for us. We had to do it ourselves.
We had to do it ourselves. Yeah. That's right. Wow, yeah. You brought back some memories
cassette.
with the for those of you who don't know what cassette tape is, go and kind of Google what a cassette tape is. You'll see a whole bunch of them, right?
Rewinding with your fingers or a pencil. If it pops in the cassette tape player, actually, my business cards right now are cassette tapes with things written on them. Actually, I have a tattoo, too, of a cassette tape. Wow. So, that's pretty much where I started my music. And so, I've never forgotten that.
Because, it stuck with you the entire time.
Yeah. It's cool, but, cassettes is, for me, where it all started.
Yeah. It's amazing that you learned how to be an effective songwriter by studying the lyrics and actually writing them down.
And didn't even realize that I was studying them. That was just something that I like to do. So, yeah.
Wow. Yeah, see, I never really wrote the lyrics down, except I was always looking on the back as far as who the singers were, who produced it, and all those different things. But, everybody has their different approach to that kind of leads them to where their career path is. And so for you, it was getting into songwriting. So let's talk a little bit about that. So what has been for you your own songwriting process? Maybe something in there that you can talk about that can help other songwriters in their craft today.
Well, usually I do know a couple of producers who I'm really good with, and they don't mind sending me beats just for me to practice with or for me to use. So if I'm feeling inspired, I will write to the tracks. If I don't have anything to write to, if a title pops in my head, then I'll write the title down and kind of flow from there. I can be doing the most random activity ever, and then something will pop in my head, and then I'll just go to my phone now and then start writing in my notes section there. Process-wise, there really isn't a process now. I don't really like writing in the studio because I feel kind of rushed and feel pressured. I've done it before. It's not my preferred, but I kind of like to get into my own vibe, to my own element, have my drink there, something that'll help me just not really feel the stress and pressure of having to write.
Okay. Yeah, because it can be stressful.
Yeah.
You're locked into a studio and you got your artists there and your songwriters and your producers, and they're like...
You're on a time crunch. Yeah. So that doesn't make me feel very inspired at all.
Makes you feel very rushed.
Right. And I work well under pressure, but creative-wise, not so much.
Yeah, because I find even for myself when I get into writing songs and things like that it has to be something, one, that inspires me, but two, I find myself in the weirdest places, right? I could be in the grocery store and all of a sudden something will pop in my hand. It's like, yeah, I need to record that somewhere. Right. I remember, and even as a producer, I remember, and this was not too long ago, driving home, and an idea of a song popped into my head, and it's great that I had a little recorder on my phone, and I recorded each piece of the actual track that I wanted to do. I haven't made it yet. I need to go make it, but I recorded each piece of the track, the drums, the instruments, everything, because I'm sitting in traffic for an hour. Trying to get home.
I know.
And those ideas.
But see how crazy is that, right? Because we were literally just talking about cassette tapes, and you couldn't do that before with the songwriting process, of the creating process of making a song. Back in the cassette tape days, you couldn't do that. Now we have the ability to start, if we have an idea in traffic, because traffic is horrible here. We have an idea, we can go ahead and put it down on our phone. We can start writing, we can start putting some pieces together. So, I think technology has really allowed us to transition to be able to be more creative wherever we are versus to where we have to be. So, yeah.
Yeah, versus where we have to. I like that. Versus where we have to be.
Yeah.
So what do you think about, there's this whole thing, and I was watching a video last night about songwriting and ghostwriting for others, and for artists or producers, whoever they may be, to truly write their own songs. I mean, is there kind of is there a difference? Does it really matter if someone has a ghostwriter, as long as they're making a really good song, versus the person being the only original songwriter to that song?
Okay, so here's the argument, right? Because in R&B, we really don't care who writes the songs. Just get up there and sing it to the best of your ability so we can make the money. Hip-hop is a little bit different. So they actually care who's writing the rhymes, because you're not a true hip-hop artist if you cannot put pen and pad and make something great. I do R&B. So I'm very thankful for the singers needing R&B songwriters. As far as hip hop goes, I do appreciate when the rappers do have their own thoughts and can actually put it down. Some of my favorite is I love Kendrick Lamar. I love what he does. I love the metaphors. I love the similes. I love Absol, what he does. I love that they can do that, and it's because of that they are some of my faves. Tupac, hello. I love that he was able to do that. Now, technically, songwriting credits, if they use a sample, they have to say, give credit to whoever did the songwriting on the samples. That's the catch-22 there, but thank God for that. But I think as far as hip-hop goes, I think they definitely need to do their own writing.
Yeah, but why though? I think that's the argument.
Yeah.
Why do they have to do their own? So when you think back to some of the biggest songs in hip hop, some of them were ghostwritten.
They were. They were.
Yeah. So,
but how authentic of a rapper would that person technically be, though? Because they're having assistance, they're having help. So, which I'm not knocking the ghostwriters, I'm not knocking anybody else who does that. I'm just, for me personally, as a consumer, I appreciate when the rappers and the hip hop artists actually do use their own minds and their brains, and if they get a little help.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what if Tupac had ghostwriters? What if the DLC, because the DLC back in the day with Dr. Dre and Ice Cube and NWA and all those, he wrote a lot of stuff.
I know, and Ice Cube wrote a lot of stuff too.
Ice Cube wrote a lot of stuff.
And I love Eazy-E. I love him for everything that he has, the legacy that he has behind him. But as a rapper, he was just kind of just tossed and thrown in there, Hey, but that's, Dre likes people's voices, and he does have a distinctive, he did have a distinctive voice. Sure did. So I don't really look at him like that. He gets a pass because
Drake has ghostwriters.
He does, but I don't, but again, I don't consider him, he's not one of my favorite rappers or favorite artists like that. He's one of my favorite producers, but as far as rappers, hip hop artists, no.
Okay. No. I just know there's that.
That's just my thoughts.
As a songwriter, I know you have your own perspective on if you should have a ghostwriter. I mean, even to the point where, okay, so Manchi, this is from this perspective. So take ghostwriting out the whole scenario.
Okay.
What about artists who have like 13 songwriters on there?
But see, that's part of what I was saying. So it depends on if they were using the sample, and it depends on who was in the room, because a lot of people just don't like having people in the studio with them or wherever they are with them to create. Me being one of those people.
Yeah, I don't either.
I need whoever is going to be collaborating on that song, whose names is going to be on the credits, and we've already established that. Yeah. I like that to be in the room. All the art, the entourage, and the security, and that because that's distracting to the art. So when you have one of the entourage members, hey, instead of saying blue, why don't you say boo? And then they get credit for that. So that could be one of the 13. I don't like that, because now you're cutting into our money.
Into the money. That's right. You cut into that money because you got so many people in that room who may be contributing to the song.
Right. And just because you said boo and not blue, no, I don't know if I want you to get a cut of my song because you said boo. I don't like it when it's a lot of people in there because of that. Because that's how you end up with 13 songwriters on a song and 13 people getting credit for something that they just changed a word to. I don't like it.
So let's talk about collaborating with other songwriters. Okay. Right? So what are some of the things that other songwriters need to be wary of or considerate of when working with other people when it comes to crafting music?
Being respectful. Because everybody has a talent and everybody can bring something to the table. It might not be that one song. Somebody may contribute more to one song than the other person did that particular day. Maybe they were having a bad day, but the next session they're killing it. They're on it. They're collaborating. They're just in it. I think respect for the art, respect for each other, and just having talent enough to maybe we should go in another direction. I'm not really feeling this right now. Let's step back and take a day. Because everybody's not going to be on. But I think if you have the respect and understanding of each other, I think that makes a better collaboration. I've collaborated with quite a few songwriters, and we're not always in sync. And then we just may need to step back for a day or step back for 2 days. Let it breathe. We need to make sure that the song is going in the direction that we both see fit and something that we're both comfortable with. Yeah. Or all of us, depending. I've written with 2 people. I've written with 3 people. Wow. So, yeah.
Every song I've ever written has been just me by myself.
Really?
Yeah, because in the early stages, it was always like, I don't want you telling me how to. Yeah. And you kind of get defensive at some point. You're like,
it's personal.
Well, how are you going to tell me that I want to say this way and you want to say it a different way? And it's like, no, I don't like that. And then it can come, it could be an ego, hit to your ego too. And you're like, oh, no, I thought that line was dope. And now you want to change it? Yeah. I don't know. You have to take the ego out of it because if you're working on the song, the priority should be the song and not the ego. Yeah. So I've had to check myself quite a few times and I'm like, but that's
dope line. Like, why don't you like it? I don't understand. Like, it came to me as I was washing dishes. Like,
Right.
it's so dope. And then, no.
They're like, no.
Not for this song. But then that's where the respect comes from. Because if you can say, yeah, just no. And stay face it.
But then what if they give you a line that's not even up to par to what the previous line was?
Let's put that somewhere else. That might belong in another part of the song. Let's try that in the bridge. Yeah, why don't we do this instead? Or what do you think about this? But good, because again, it goes back to respect. Instead of just saying, no, that sucks.
No, that sucks. I like that. Take it out.
Just, find somewhere else to put it, or, table it. Maybe in the next song it belongs. You never know.
Yeah, so you really gotta have that. You gotta trust one another.
You have
You're gonna have that working relationship with one another. Be able to say, hey, I listen to you, you listen to me, and it is putting that ego away.
Yeah.
I've had to learn that the ego has to go to the very bottom, because at that point it's really not about you. It's about crafting a really good song.
Agreed.
Yeah. So let's switch a little bit. Let's talk about degrees and Chuck T's.
Oh my goodness.
So where did it come from? How did you start your radio show? And tell us a little bit about what your radio show is.
Okay, so actually it's been 1.5 years now. So me and my best friend CJ, shout out to CJ. We've been friends for about 12 years. And we just have this chemistry and this love for entertainment. She went to school for radio. I went to school for radio. I didn't end up in radio, but that's a whole nother thing. I ended up in PR and marketing majors. So we're just like, you know what? We're getting older. We're not really doing what we want to do. We're wives, we're mothers. We really want to do something for ourselves, something that we love, something that's consistent. And we talked about doing a podcast. So we're like, all right. So where are we going to record this podcast? Because the podcast needs to be somewhere where it's professional sounding. We need to make sure that we're as legit as possible, because we don't want to half-step. We're going to put our names on it. We need to make sure that we can back it up. So we found a space. Actually, a friend of hers had a radio station. And we're like, all right, can we just record here, use our, do our podcast here every Saturday? And she's like, you know what? Because she's a businesswoman. If you're going to be using the space, because, we had to pay for the space. If you're going to be using the space and paying for the space, why don't you just have a radio show?
Putting that radio.
That's a good idea.
Radio communications degree to work.
Right.
Like
because both of us went to school for radio. If we're already at a radio station to record the podcast, why don't we do a show? Like, it just made sense, right?
That's right.
So we started every Saturday, and we're still doing every Saturday from 2 to 4. It's the greatest feeling ever, just knowing that we're really friends. We have the chemistry. We have a real friendship. It's not something that, hey, do you want to do a radio show with me? It's not something that it organically happened.
Okay.
And the love of radio and what we do keeps us going. So every Saturday we have guests come in. And while we're talking about it, I would love having you on the show as well.
I want to be on the show.
Put that on there while we're here on camera, so y'all see that. I do want to extend an offer for you as well, because we're very hip hop based, musical based. She does comedy, so she has a lot of comedians come on their show as well. So we really I'm more of the songwriting music. She's more of the comedy.
Okay.
And so us putting it all together is honestly quite hilarious. It is so much fun, and we really enjoy ourselves, and people really love what we do because we're our authentic selves, and we allow everybody else who come to the show to be their authentic selves. And it's so funny. Like, we have our operations manager of the station. He has his own show twice a week.
Nice.
And he's, in his suited and booted. But when he comes to our show, he's able to be a little bit more of himself. So he loves coming to the show, just not even being on camera, but just to observe. And people just love to observe us being us. That's the greatest feeling.
That's what's up. Hey, Make sure you check it
Yes.
out. Tell them where they can actually tune in.
Yes. So every Saturday from 2 to 4, we are live. You can find us on Facebook. It's so much shenanigans going on. You can see all the behind the scenes stuff. You can find us on Facebook, IBNX Radio. All you have to do is search IBNX Radio. You can find us on TuneIn, or you can just go to our website, Degrees and Chuck T's. We're literally everywhere. The simplest way to find us is on the website, and then you can find us from there.
That's right. Yeah, good stuff. So tell them about what you kind of do with it. I mean, what is your main audience base? And
So we have a lot of men that check in, but we also it's more men. It is more men that checks in. But then we're hip hop based,
right?
So it's always like the music. It's always the comedy that draws them in. Of course, we have women listeners too. I don't want to get the wrong idea, but like it's honestly our listeners is more men.
Yeah.
And it's not because we have on clothes. We're hilarious, and that's why people really like us.
Well, that's good.
Yeah,
that's good.
But hip hop, comedy, music, entertainment, pop culture, politics, sports, we talk it all in one show. Like the show we had last week was literally politics, sports with a dash of entertainment.
You sound politics, 'cause,
we have a whole segment on politics. We start the show off with politics.
Politics.
We have to.
I prepare myself then when I come talk about that.
I mean, it's really not that bad, I promise, because we can always find the humor of whatever's going on, and it's sad because we're trying to be serious, but there's always a joke thrown in there somehow. It's
I'm sure.
Comedy.
I'm sure.
There's always comedy going on.
I can't wait.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I can't wait to have you on there.
I can't wait. Yeah. Instead of trying to be a host, I could just go and just be.
Yeah, this is weird for me.
Because they're gonna. I'm just saying, you're gonna see the real B Bond there. That's wow.
We love that. That's why we do it, because we love when people just can be their authentic selves, and that's why it's weird for me because I'm always on the other end.
Side,
yeah.
right.
So yeah.
That's right. So talk about what were some of the challenges early on that you faced with kind of establishing Degrees and Chuck T's?
Support is probably the biggest. You have to start in-house with the people that you know to grow, because they're going to be your voices for you. They are the conduits between you and their connections and their connections and their connections. And I don't mean connections as somebody who could hook us up. I'm thinking like your audience, right? So you need people to listen, and you always go to your core. Sometimes your core doesn't really support you, or, I'm sure you already know how that goes. The biggest issue when you're starting something is you need to have your people support you.
Yes.
If you don't have your people support you, then it's kind of like, all right, well, I'll get it somewhere else, and people are still going to find out about us, and we'll make it do what it do.
That's right.
So
yeah, I think
it's probably the hardest.
The hardest is the support.
Yeah, from your own people.
Yeah,
it sucks.
From your own people. No, let me stop.
And you hate to say that, right?
Yeah,
but
you
if
do.
you're being honest, and I have to be honest because I'm honest. That's what I do. It's really support and getting the support from the people that you want to support you.
Yeah. I mean, even though I know we laughing about it and stuff, but it is a serious thing. I think once you get that core group of support, and I got some guys out there that are supportive, but it's just kind of getting. Even for our show, it's just getting the word out even more and the support out even more to help it to grow to exactly what I envisioned for it to be.
Right.
So, hey, we're always looking for support, not just for me, but for Degrees and Chuck T's as well, right? So
support your people.
Support your people. Right. That's probably one of the biggest things. I see a lot of people always on social media supporting people that they have no clue who they are, and I think the only reason why they support them is because they're superstars and they're well known, and they will retweet and repost every image and picture that they've ever put, but won't give 2 cents about.
And see, that's the thing, right? It's only a retweet or it's only a post. Like, we're not asking you to finance anything.
Yeah.
We just want you, can you just please, hey, can you take this and post this on your page? Because, you know, your people are who we would like to have follow us because they do what we do.
We do what we do.
Right. I mean, it's very simple. It takes a minute of your day and just please.
That's right.
You know.
Support local entrepreneurs.
Thank you. Hello.
Right.
Why is that so hard for people? We love support. We support other people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so please, it's
That's
kindness.
Right. That's right.
Respect.
So where do you see Degrees and Chuck T's going?
Oh man. I can't wait for us to get to a place where people really know us. It's not a thing about being famous. Mm-hmm. I don't really care about being famous. I just want people to enjoy the work that we're doing. Because we have a lot of fun doing it. And we're very informative. We're entertaining as all get out. I promise. But we like to make people laugh. We like to make people happy. And if we can contribute to anybody's happiness and just to entertain them and make them feel good about themselves, that's what we want with Degrees and Chuck T's. We don't really care about being famous. I like the background. That's why I chose songwriting, because it's the background role. But with Degrees and Chuck T's, it has allowed me to be, I've always liked to make people happy. So I don't want to say I'm a people pleaser, but I like to get the best out of people and do the best and want the best for people. So Degrees and Chuck T's that's what we do. We just want to entertain and we just want to make people happy.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. And it really does provide a platform for others to kind of talk about the things that they do, and you're kind of bringing awareness to other people also. But you're doing really, if y'all haven't checked the show out, you gotta. Oh man, y'all sleeping.
I'm sorry. And I don't say that just because I'm part of the show, but it's hilarious. I'll look back at previous shows or listen to previous shows, and I can't stop laughing. And I know it's coming up because I was there, but the things that just come out of our mouths, it's so random. It always goes off on a tangent.
Right. 2 to 4.
2 to 4 every Saturday.
Every Saturday. Yeah, y'all make sure y'all check it out. Yep.
Thank you.
So what advice would you have for anyone kind of getting into music, songwriting, or even someone who kind of wants to start their own radio show? What would you really kind of tell them as far as just some good sound advice?
Do your research and really love what you like to do. If you're trying to do songwriting, you have to love it. You have to immerse yourself in it. You have to read, because there are books out there that can help you, that can guide you. Learn about the music business. Understand that it is a business first. Everything that you do, radio, songwriting, producing, everything, it's a business first. It's a business of making money. People need to know that you can't just go in it and wing it. That's not how it works. That's not how people get success. However they define success. But you have to do your research. You have to be knowledgeable about what you're going to do, and then put your all into it. You have to love it in order to put your all into it. Because if you didn't love it, you wouldn't put your all into it, and then what would you do? What would you get from that? That would be the biggest piece of advice that I would have for anybody.
Yeah, I agree. Do your research. A lot of people, and maybe they do, I don't know, kind of really do their research for the things that they really want to get into. I remember when I was putting this show together, there were certain things that I went and I researched and had to figure out and had to become super knowledgeable in order for it to be successful, right? And still to, even from where I envision it for it to go, there's still things that I need and I'm learning through this entire process. And so I would say for anybody, that's amazing advice. You have to do your research, you have to study, you have to know the business. Right.
And you're still going to learn more along the way. It's not like you have to be a master at it right before you start doing it. But you should definitely have a little bit of insight about what you're doing and what has worked, what hasn't worked, and how you can kind of tweak it and make it work for you.
Yeah. So where can people find you?
Oh, good gravy. So I am on Instagram as KB Tidwell, KBTIDWELL. You can also find me Degrees and Chuck T's everywhere. Literally, just Google Degrees and Chuck T's. Go to the website, Instagram, Facebook, Spotify, SoundCloud, where else are we? Stitcher. We're everywhere. Tune in. We're literally everywhere. So you can just Google Degrees and Check T's and you'll find us.
Awesome.
Yay.
Good. All right. So KB, it has been a pleasure to have you on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
You are welcome.
I appreciate it.
You are welcome. I am looking forward to coming on the show.
Yeah, I can't wait to have you.
And just let me know when.
Okay.
Yeah. Just let me know. I don't know if you have like a scheduling.
Yep.
Yeah. That's how we do. See,
All
gotta have a scheduling link. That's right. That's right.
Well, it ain't a link.
Love it.
I'm not. He has a link. I love your link. I looked at that. I was like, this is a great idea.
It's a great.
This
I know.
is a really great idea. We just do it because it's me, and it's probably a link is a good idea, but I think I already have an idea when I would like for you to come, just depending on your schedule.
Yep, just let me know.
Okay, it's soon.
Soon.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. Y'all gonna Check T's and y'all gonna see, the real. You're gonna get all my mind and all this stuff. KB, it's a pleasure.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yes. And ladies and gentlemen, of course, we create music.
We create music.
That's right. We thank you for tuning in today. You can always catch us every Saturday at 10 a.m. on wecreatemusic.tv. Thanks for tuning in, and we are out.